Thank you. All right, so we're gonna draw a bicycle. 1 inch equals 1 foot, and so what I need to do on my drawing is I need to indicate that, and so it'll look something like scale 1 inch equals 1 foot dash 0 inches. All right, so let's take a look at what that means. All right, let me move this up a little bit. All right, so 1 inch equals 1 foot. Again, if you, for whatever reason, you wouldn't have a scale ruler, let's take a look at what that means. It is pretty obvious, but I do recall when I graduated from college, I would get confused. Like, is it 1/8 scale or 1/8 inch, whatever? I would always get really confused. I confused myself. So let's take a look at an architectural ruler and see what they're talking about. All right, so we should have what we're seeing here is just your typical ruler, 1 foot broken into 12s. But so what I want to do is find the scale that says 1 on it. All right, and there it is. So if you notice, it says 1 right here. So this is 1 inch, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 feet. And so if I would put a normal ruler next to it and just see what that means, you'd notice that, certainly 1 inch of a ruler is what that's saying. And so all we're saying is 1 inch equals a foot. All right. If you remember last time, we worked in half scale, which meant that on a ruler, half of an inch equals a foot. And so you notice that it shares it. So in this one, when you're doing half inch, it's 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, and you notice that they're sharing that, right, all the way to 20 feet, 21 feet, and so obviously half an inch they're going to be able to share this. So this is 1 foot, 2 foot. This would be 2 foot 6 inches, right? And then they break it down. So that's what all that means. So let's go ahead. We're going to draw a bicycle. 1 inch equals 1 foot. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of draw the outline of where this drawing is going to take place. So let's draw that. And I just randomly picked an inch. I just want to make sure that this is going to be the right size for us. I think it is. All right, so I need to draw if I'm going to draw a bicycle, all right, so we're going to call this orthographic. All right, bike. And all right, so orthographic bike. So if I'm going to draw a bike, what I need to do first is I need to draw the wheels. We're going to draw, this is going to be my side view. I think I've got plenty of room here. So as I recall, these 4 inches. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a bicycle wheel that is 12, 24, 36. That's a pretty big wheel, isn't it? Let's make it 36 inches. Still pretty big, but we'll draw it like that. All right, it's close enough. All right, so the wheels that we're all going to draw are going to be, let's see, 3 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a bicycle wheel that is 3 feet. All right, so I'm going to get my my little tool here. So let's go ahead and draw. I'm going to help myself here, 1.5 inches, because this is going to be the radius. Approximately. We should get a triangle here, make sure everything's square. As best that I can. So did I do that? I think I did that right. 2, 3, okay. So the center would be right this. All right. And then I'll take my compass and I'm going to draw a wheel. So you really are going to need a compass to do this properly. So if you don't have a compass, please get a compass. Right. Okay, so there we go. Now let's go ahead for kicks while we're at it. Let's draw the tire around it. Now you guys and gals can make your whatever kind of bicycle you want, all right? And I'm a little over the line. That's okay. You notice I'm a little over the line. We're all right. I was just concerned I was going to not have enough room here. So what I want to do then is I'm going to draw a bike. If you want to take a bicycle, you know that so please don't trace things. I know that's I had a couple people in their cars. It was very obvious that they were just tracing it. That's not what I want you to do. All right. So what I want you to do is draw your own bicycle. You can design your own bicycle. If you want to look at a photograph, you can. So bicycles by two wheels, but let's go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and just draw what I think my frame is. And I'm going to do this rather quickly. But what I want you to, I think it would help if you had a bicycle that you were referring to, because we're going to end up drawing this in a three-dimensional kind of shape at some point here. So I'm going to draw a frame. I don't know if you know this, but I used to, when I was, how old was I? I was 16. I used to race bikes. So I used to take them apart and rode bikes. I had a lot of fun with it. So I'm somewhat familiar with how they go together. So this is the front fork is what they would call this. Then you've got this front flange. And so you can design your own bike, all right? That's fine. And they're all going to look a little goofy. It's just the way it is. That's all right. It's not parallel. Okay, I just had to refer to my bike. So I don't know why I'm saying I am an expert, because if I had to refer to it, I must not be that of an expert. I'm not going to involve the human body. If you were designing a bike, typically what you would be doing is you would be looking at what they call human factors and figuring out what is the average size leg and calf and the distance and all that. We're not going to do that. That's a little bit more than we need to do. All right, so there's the front, and then there's generally, I'm going to try to make this horizontal. There's going to be and so remember, the challenge of this is that you are going to be drawing this in an isometric view later. So you don't want to get too complicated, but you want to have it unique enough that it is your own bicycle, right? So don't go crazy with it, but at the same time, if it's too simple, you're going to bore your classmates, all right? So there's this bar coming over here. Generally comes down. I'm not referring to a photograph, which is probably what I should do. The reason why I didn't draw the back wheel first, I could have, is that if I draw the back wheel, it's going to definitely determine where all this is. So something like this. And this is where my crank is. All right. Now I'm looking at my bicycle. I shouldn't even do that. All right, so then I've got this frame that comes down here, the tubular. Modern bikes are different. Then this comes down. I guess what I would do now is my wheel can't exceed here. So I'm going to make this the same wheel. I want them to be the same size. And we said it was about 1.5 inches. So 1.5 over, 1/2 up. It's about there. Okay, so there's the center of my wheel. Yeah, but I got to compensate for that tire, so I actually need to make this a little bigger and higher. So what I should do is come down to the bottom, because I want to make this even. Remember, so what's going to happen is once you design your own bike, you're going to have to refer back to it and measure off of it. Remember, so when we talk about something that is isometric means equal measure. We're going to want to be measuring off of it. All right, so I'm going rather quickly, but I think you get the idea here. All right. One thing I realized is this is going to be the back view over here. but that's okay. I don't care if it faces another direction, but whatever this view is, this has to be the rear view. That's okay. I don't really care if this is the front or rear. I should have done this the opposite, but that's what you get when your teacher likes working on the fly. And all right, so I recall that it would go something like this. And then something like that. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so not the best bike in the world, but you got the idea. That is not the center of that wheel. What did I do wrong? Jeez Louise. Okay. Knew it looked a little goofy. So the center of my wheel is right here. So these are things that I'm looking at, you're going to be looking at. Make sure that you draw this correctly. This is why we have erasers. That's okay. All right, so it's something like that. And I really prefer that you're welcome to do mountain bikes. Just make sure there's two wheels. It's going to be important for this next activity. And so then I'll just go ahead and draw my seat post here and my seat. And so, modern bikes are not generally tubular. They use composites. Not all bikes, but most of them do. But I should believe that this bicycle that you're drawing could actually work. All right, and then it usually has a kind of a front. Oh, that looks a little goofy, but whatever. Okay. They don't even make bikes like this anymore. All right, so I can tell this is a little big up there, and it's a little too big, and I don't like it. So that's what I do. All right.
Mr. Smith, are you recording this?
I am.
Okay.
Okay, so there's the side view. And so I'm going rather quickly here. All right, so I'll answer questions in a minute. Let me just get this side view done. So then what I would do is, this is going to be the back view. Now, if I had been thinking more clear, I would have had my orientation going the opposite way, but that's okay. I don't really care, just so long as you're not putting the front view here. Because if you put the front view here, then I know that you're not understanding how the orthographic views work. So let me just get this next one laid out, and then I'll stop this. We'll get this to a point where I can stop. All right, so there's usually some sort of gear mechanism. There's a chain. So I'm going to ask you to draw the chain. So if you're going to draw a chain, you're going to need to draw the front gear. All right, so then, yeah, it goes in front. And then you need to draw the rear hub, the rear gear here. All right, so it's hard when you get that small. And there's usually a chain. There's usually some sort of derailleur, I think. Yeah, something like that. And if I was taking my time, I would draw the teeth and the chain. All right, so then the top view You want to make sure you give yourself enough space. So I'm going to give myself, usually you want to have equal, but you don't want it touching. So I'm going to give myself 2 inches. I'll try to give myself about 2 inches here.
Mr. Smith,
Yes,
I have to go in about like 3 minutes.
I will post this for you. Okay.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yep.
Will I be marked here?
You're okay.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So then I'm going to draw the top view. Okay. So I'm going to just top view, you guys know. So what I would probably, the first thing I would do when I draw the top view of this, I'm kind of designing this as I go. I don't really know what the sizes of this. So I'll probably say, well, typical bike handlebars, it's probably going to be the widest point here. So the widest point, 1 inch equals 1 foot. Look at my hands, how far are they apart? If I have my hands, I'm writing, I'm about just on a ruler here. I can just say that that's about maybe 18 inches apart. Feels comfortable to me. So my bike is going to be a total of 18 inches. So then what you would do on a scale ruler is you would have to say, all right, so I know that's 12. And so it actually, let me zoom in on this. Let's break that down a little bit. So if it's 18 inches, and that's the total, what I can tell here is this is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? That's 6 inches, and I know that's 12, right? So that's 6, 12. So then if I was going to split that in half, it's going to be at 3/4. It's probably going to be right about there. So I could go up to 0.75. So that's going to be about the center. Let's make sure that's right. Yeah, so that's going to be the width of my bicycle. And this is going to be the center of my bicycle, which is 9 inches. Right, so that means that using my square here, I'd go up 9 inches. That's going to be the center, and that's going to be the center. Sorry, let me zoom out. All right, so this is the center of my bike. It's going to be something like that. So then everything is going to relate to that. So my front wheel, I know the distance because I've measured it. And so if I'm doing it 1-to-1 scale, then my ruler, 1-to-1, I know that the width of my wheel, we said was, with a tire, it's 3 feet, 3 inches, right? That's what it tells me, 3 feet, 3 inches. So I'd come up here, 3 feet, 3 inches. That's my wheel. All right, tire included. So if I was going to just double check that, sure enough, it should intersect. That's my wheel. I don't know what the width of my wheel is. I'm going to just say 1 inch seems a little much, probably something like this. So remember, it's got to be symmetrical. All right, so there's my tire. Probably a little narrow, but then I would say, all right, where's my handlebar in relation to this? There it is. And it probably comes out. So I'm going to come out equal measure here again. So this is the one that was 18. So 9 this way, 9 to the bottom.
I'm Mr. Smith. Thank you.
Okay, sure. All right, so my bicycle is going to be something like here. And then how does that work? Yeah, this is like round here. So it comes out like this. And then it comes forward. So you're going to have to figure out how handlebars work and things like that, right? And you can make your own. You don't have to make my bicycle. You can make your own. You can, make your own handlebars and, find something on the internet that you like. You can copy that. I'm going to stop the demo here fairly soon. So my brakes then, right? And so everything again has to line up properly. So if that's where my brake starts, right? That's where it starts. It's got to start here then too. Right, so that's where my brake starts. I'm going rather quickly. I don't think it's wrong to go rather quickly initially just to kind of sketch it in before you start. The problem is if you start detailing it like off the bat and then you realize you're wrong, you've really wasted a lot of time. So I do recommend that you kind of lay it out first, maybe not quite as detailed as I am. So lay it out first. All right, so I think we're getting the handle here, so it's probably going to be a little thicker than this. And then my seat is going to be like this. So let me draw my seat, and then I think I'll stop at my seat because I think that'll be enough for you. So there's my seat. It's doing something like this. And I'd go back in and clean this up, but my seat's going to look something like that. And the frame goes all the way through. That's my tire. So the fork actually comes down. If I'm looking at my fork, that's the center of my wheel. The fork is actually doing something like this. All right, so you've got to kind of think about what that looks like. All right, so I think I'm doing an okay job. Sorry, I need to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so that is the demo. I still need to do the back. I think you guys get the idea. All right, so let me stop the recording.